The Detroit Pistons absolutely dominate the Utah Jazz, and Jalen Duren, I believe, was the best player in this game, shined brightest in this game. We'll talk about how well he's played over this streak in today's episode of Locked On Pistons podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Khahil. You can find me over on Twitter at Khahil. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. In today's episode, I want to talk about how great Jalen Duren has been. I want to talk about Ausar Thompson's impact. And also we'll look ahead at the Pistons' schedule as they currently sit, as of this moment. I'm recording this at 12:30 a.m. On March 4th. They are currently a half game out of fifth. We're going to look ahead at their schedule and look at when the Pistons could potentially leap in the standings and what this road trip could do for them. I also want to make sure you guys know, make sure you guys head over to the Playback Room, subscribe to the room, join us for these live games. It's been a lot of fun every single night, communicating with all of you guys during the games, having fun, talking about food topics, our favorite foods, our favorite candies, random shows during the game, during blocks. It's a lot of fun. Join us over there if you haven't already. And also, I've started up a Substack where I just posted my first article today on Ausar Thompson changing the Detroit Pistons season, which we'll talk about in the second segment. I'll link that down below for you guys as well. But let's go ahead and get into this game. The Pistons absolutely obliterated the Utah Jazz. Now, in this game, they were without Isaiah Stewart, and in this game, they were without Tobias Harris. But it did not matter because, one, the Utah Jazz are not very good, and two, the Pistons are pretty good, and three, the Utah Jazz sat their good players. Lauri Markkanen didn't play, along with a few other players did not play. In this game, the Pistons dominated 134-106. Cade only had to play 30 minutes. Duren didn't even have to touch 30 minutes. Ausar Thompson has broke 30 minutes in this game. Does that mean his 30-minute restriction is off? That could be big time for the Pistons. But this was a big-time win for the Pistons. They dominated. Part of the thing that you have to do, or part of what you have to do, not part of the thing, but part of what you have to do as a good team, what separates you is beating teams you're supposed to beat. And the Pistons are doing that. It's more than half the battle. Winning the games you're supposed to win will get you to a certain level. Then you just split against the other teams. That's how you get to a top record. And the Pistons are starting to just beat down on teams they're supposed to beat. And the player I thought who was easily the best player in this game and has been playing great as of late is Jalen Duren. In this game, Jalen Duren had 16 points, 12 rebounds, 5 of 5 shooting. He had 16 points on 5 of 5 shooting. Incredible efficiency. 6 of 8 from the free throw line. He had 2 assists. He had 4 blocks after having 6 blocks the previous game. So 10 blocks through 8 quarters and 2 steals to go along with this. I'm going to tell you guys right now. Let me just tell you right now, dude. If Jalen Duren is going to be this active on defense as a rim protector, with his hands in the pick and roll, if he's going to be this active, the Pistons they're already really good. But they are going to be incredibly, incredibly hard to beat. Absolutely hard to beat. Before the game today, over on Playback, I hosted a sub-only stream where we do all film breakdowns. So if you want to see some of those film breakdowns live with us, go sub to the Playback Room. But we did a sub breakdown with some of my subs. And one of the points that we broke down the film was that Jalen Duren, when he's allowed to stay around the rim, since Ausar Thompson has come back, he's been a lot more active around the rim. And there's 2 reasons I believe for this. One, or it's really one reason altogether, is that he now, I believe, has trust that he's going to be covered on the backside. If you've watched the Pistons for years, going back to Stan Van Gundy, he talked about this a lot in interviews, that he felt like Andre Drummond, he felt like at times Andre Drummond was afraid of rotating and contesting shots at the rim because he knew if he rotated, that left his guy for an easy putback layup or an easy dump off and no one would have his backside. So instead of rotating over and jumping at shots and giving up an easy putback or an easy dump off dunk, he wouldn't jump at those shots, which is something that big men go through mentally. It's part of the, process of, what you have to grow on defense, your IQ, knowing when you should do it, knowing when you shouldn't, etc., etc. Since Ausar Thompson's come back, and you saw it happen numerous times tonight, and I broke it down in the film in our sub-only stream multiple times as well, that every time, it feels like almost every time Duren goes and rotates for a shot now, Ausar Thompson's crashing behind him. If Ausar knows he's going for a shot, Asar's right there behind him, covering his backside, at least making an attempt to take away the rebound or provide some weak side rim protection or to secure the defensive rebound, like I said, or take away the dump-off pass. So now Duren is performing more aggressively at the rim, going after the shots because he has trust in the weak side defense. I think that's one of the main reasons that you're starting to see him be more aggressive around the rim. I think obviously him just getting better and growing and getting older and getting more reps, I think that has a ton to do with it as well. Obviously, getting more reps at something, you'll get better at it, obviously. So that plays a part. The other part, I think, obviously, JB Bickerstaff has been known for developing defense with his teams, developing defense with his players. And I think JB is really having an impact on Jalen Duren and his impact defensively. I don't know if I've seen a midseason turnaround like I've seen from Jalen Duren. And this is why I don't feel bad no matter what certain fans want to say about, oh, you were criticizing Duren too much, blah, blah. No, Duren openly came out himself in a post-game interview and said, yeah, I clearly was playing basically saying I played like trash. And I was way better than that. Duren himself admitted that he was not playing well. I can't remember a time, like if you looked at the numbers, and I wrote about this in this article that we'll talk about coming up, I cannot remember a time where a guy went from 2 months into the season, a team being so much better with him off the floor versus his backup, to that completely flipping on his head to where the team's so much better with him on the floor mid-season. Now, we've seen it happen season to season, someone improving in the offseason and coming back the next year better. I can't remember a time in a Pistons uniform that I've seen a guy change it this dramatically mid-season. Like, it's completely changed dramatically. Before, in the first 2.5 months of the season, the Pistons were being outscored by 9.1 points or something with him on the floor. Now, they're dominating teams with him on the floor. They went from being way better with Stu on the floor, points per possession, per 100 possessions, to completely obliterating teams with him on the floor. It's truly a remarkable turnaround, and Duren deserves a ton of credit for turning his season around mid-season. And that's just talking about his defense. Offensively, he had 5 highlights tonight. And that right there is what, and we've talked about this many times in the podcast, this is what makes him different. This is what makes him special. This is what made me high on him coming into this season in the offseason when we would talk about him, was his ability to play with the ball in his hands, to play off a live dribble. You're seeing him not just take defensive rebounds coast to coast, which is absolutely crazy to see a guy of his stature and his position do. You're seeing him consistently out of the DHO, at the high post, drive his guy to the rim, finish at the rim. You're seeing him use dribble moves to create openings for him after dump-offs, after receiving the ball in the short roll. You're seeing him make the right pass out of the short roll consistently now. You're starting to see him do so much more with the ball in his hands and make incredible play after play after play as a ball handler at his position. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit later when I talk about Ausar Thompson's impact. But part of the reason why the Pistons starting lineup is dominating and why they're able to play Ausar Thompson and Jalen Duren together, despite neither of them being outside threats, part of the reason is, or the main reason is, they're both plus playmakers. When you have multiple playmakers on the floor, you can make things happen and constantly take advantage of advantages created by someone else. So for example, in this game against Utah, there was a play where you saw Ausar Thompson or Jalen Duren screen for Cade, and we did this during the film breakdowns. Again, if you guys want to be part of those film breakdowns and chill with it and talk with us about it and suggest different things you want to be seen, again, go to the playback room and subscribe. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we talked about this and broke down some films with this. Cade naturally attracts 2 on ball. Cade's a plus playmaker. So when Cade gets 2 on ball when he runs pick and roll with Duren, he's making that quick pass to Duren. Duren is then also a plus playmaker. So now you've got a plus playmaker attacking a 4-on-3 on the weak side and Ausar dominating the baseline. So now he's throwing oops like you saw in this game against Utah. He throws an oop to Ausar and Ausar just grabs it reverse and reverse dunks it. Makes it look easy. Ausar is a freak athlete, a freak finisher, and a plus playmaker. So then, on another possession, you saw them run a pick and roll with Ausar Thompson as the screener. So now you can do it inverted as well. You can do it both ways. You run a screen with Ausar, Cade still attracts two, he dumps it up to Ausar. Ausar then makes a kick out corner pass to Malik. Both these guys are plus playmakers, which allows you to create multiple advantages and then create off of those advantages. That's why they're able to make things work without either of them being outside threats. And Duren's improvement from where at the beginning of the year, he wasn't being trusted with the ball in his hands and his usage rate was down, his turnover percentage was way, way up. Now his turnover percentage is way down. His usage rate has went way up, like we've talked about many times in the podcast. First, I believe, before January 1st, he was at a 21% turnover percentage. Since then, he's at around 15, 16. Turnovers have went way down. He's being trusted with the ball in his hands more, and he's developed that part of his game mid-season. I mean, he's just crushing people inside. He's been fantastic. And look, if he continues to play like this the rest of the year, if this is who he is now, how he's played, this is not just a great stretch. If this is who he is the rest of the year, the contract extension numbers are going to be incredibly interesting this offseason. It will be incredibly interesting to see what number he gets, because how he's playing right now with Ausar, with Cade, has been absolutely fantastic. He was a plus 31 in this game, man. We're talking 10 blocks through 8 quarters right now. Through 8 quarters, 10 blocks. And that's just defense. We're not even talking about the posters he's getting on offense, the great plays he's making on offense because of his improvement with the ball in his hands. All of that combined, incredible impact and incredible development mid-season by a young player. I haven't seen it like this. I haven't. All my years watching basketball, I haven't seen a mid-season turnaround this dramatic before. Usually it's season over season. You improve in the offseason. Usually it's not this dramatic mid-season, but Duren's doing it. All the credit to him. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil how you guys feel about how Duren has played, especially late, but how you feel about how he's played since January, really, and what number would you give him in the offseason? What's the most you would give him? Right now, it's looking pretty high. It's looking pretty high for him. So let me know in the comment section down below. Coming up, Ausar Thompson is equally having an insane impact on the Pistons. And as I wrote today for my Substack, he has changed the Pistons season. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass gets 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Shea just dropped 50 points. I'm letting you guys know now. Take advantage of it. I'm helping you guys out here. Shea just dropped 50. Don't waste this opportunity. After an epic 50-point performance like from Shea, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Door or Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I'll link down below the playback room so you can be a part of live film breakdowns for sub only, and also watch all the Pistons game with the rest of the Pistons fan base and myself. Have fun, joke around during the games, talk about whatever. It's been a lot of fun. You guys can join us down below. Also, I'll link down below my Substack where I just dropped this article that we're about to talk about here. You'll be getting a lot more content from me. Obviously, I've let you guys know over the last week or so, I'm officially full-time with it. I quit my day job. I'll be going full-time with this media career, providing content for you guys nonstop. So there's going to be a lot of content coming you guys' way from me. I hope you guys enjoy it all. I'll be letting you guys know all of it, and I hope you guys are checking out and enjoying it. But Ausar Thompson, we just got done talking about Jalen Duren. And look, we just talked poetically about him, amazingly about him for an entire segment. But Ausar Thompson is also playing his bleep off. absolutely playing fantastic. I think probably has been the Pistons' second best player since January. I think he's been fantastic. In this game against Utah, he had 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block on 7 of 7 shooting. He shot 3 of 3 from the free throw line. He had 17 points on 7 shots. Jalen Duren and Ausar Thompson combined for 33 points on 12 shots. 33 points on 12 shots. Holy bleep. The efficiency. Like, these dudes finished everything around the rim. These guys are just efficient players. They've been incredible. And Ausar, we're going to talk about him. He's been absolutely fantastic, man. I mean, I can't. I've told you guys this before. The last game I was at Credential was the Clippers game. I believe that was last week. And I told you guys after that game, I would get tickets. I would buy tickets to a Pistons game just to watch Ausar Thompson on defense. To watch how he moves on defense. To watch how it feels like because of his athleticism and his processing on that end and his IQ on that end of the floor and his instincts and his anticipation. All of those things being peak, because of that, it feels like he is everywhere at once. It seriously feels like he is everywhere at once on the floor defensively. And you saw it against Boston when he gave Jason Tatum absolute hell. And you saw it in this game against Utah, where, yes, Utah is not a very good team. Yes, like, they don't have Lauri Markkanen out there. Yes, I get it, okay? The Jazz are not very good. Completely fair. Completely fair. But this isn't just a one-game thing. Ausar Thompson has changed the Detroit Pistons season, as I wrote about today. He has absolutely changed the Detroit Pistons season. Let me read you some of these numbers that I wrote in this article. And you'll get more, if you want to check out the article, I'll link it down below. You'll get more in-depth film breakdowns in here. I put some clips in here to break down what I'm talking about. But I just want to read some of these stats that I put in this article. Before this game, now the stats have not updated, but they're only going to get better after this Utah game. But before this game, the duo of Ausar Thompson and Jalen Duren are holding opponents to 108.6 points per possession. That would be the best defense in the league easily. They are obliterating teams. This is a team that in December, before Ausar Thompson became in the starting lineup, before he started playing more, in the month of December, the Pistons had the 3rd worst defense in the entire NBA. I'll say it for you guys again. In the month of December, the Pistons had a defensive rating that was the 3rd worst defense in the entire league. In the entire league. And now, they're obliterating teams in these minutes. They have the 3rd best defense in the NBA since January 1st. Or 4th best defense, I'm sorry. Since January 1st, they have the 4th best defense in the NBA. Since Ausar Thompson was put in the starting lineup, which was actually on January 4th, this defense has completely warped. It's crazy how one perimeter player, not a rim protector like a Rudy Gobert or a Ben Wallace type, a perimeter player was inserted into the starting lineup and everything clicked just like that defensively. Their defensive rating since January 4th is 110.4. That is 8.9 points better than the defensive rating they had in the month of December. 8.9 points better. That is an insane jump defensively. And that is largely due to Ausar Thompson being put into the starting lineup. It's honestly crazy to look at it, to look at these numbers. You want to talk about the impact that Ausar Thompson's not only just had on the Pistons, but the impact he's had on Duren? The Pistons' defense before January 4th was 9.6 points worse with Jalen Duren on the floor. So when Jalen Duren was on the floor, the Pistons' defense was getting outscored by 9.6 points more than when he was off the floor. That's what I was talking about earlier, how it's been such a big change midseason. The Pistons were getting obliterated in the Duren minutes. Stu was better at that time, but the Duren minutes were not good at all on defense. Since January 4th, when Ausar Thompson was put into the starting lineup, Jalen Duren's defense or defensive rating, the Pistons are 1.5 points better now with Duren on the floor. That is an 11.1 point difference. Over an 11-point difference from before and after. That is remarkable. That should never happen. That's not something you see happen ever. Like, you don't see that kind of change happen midseason. It's remarkable how much he has helped the Pistons defense. Absolutely remarkable. But you want to know what's even crazier about this? About Ausar Thompson's impact? Remember before the season, and these were all fair questions before the season. These were all fair questions. It was logical. You guys get what I say. Process over results for me. If the process sounds right, if you think the process is good, then believe in the result will eventually make sense. Like, you guys get how I am. Been like that ever since I took over this podcast. The process, what people were saying before the year was that you can't play with two non-shooters on the floor. Okay? And that was fair. You had to see if it could work. That was where the questions mostly were on offense. Well, guys, since January 1st, when Ausar Thompson was inserted into the starting lineup, the Pistons have the 7th best offense in the NBA. Since Ausar Thompson was inserted to the starting lineup, they have the 4th best defense, and they have the 7th best offense in the NBA. They have a top 7 offense and defense. You know what type of teams have top 7 both offense and defenses? Contending teams. Now, am I sitting here telling you the Pistons are contending for a championship? No. My point is that that's how big of a difference Ausar Thompson has made for this team. And the concerns about the offense have been put more than to bed. And the reasons for this, a lot of it is due to the fact that they are creating so much offense off of their defense. The Pistons they rank 6th in the NBA in points off of turnovers since Ausar Thompson was put into the starting lineup. So they're scoring a ton because they're forcing turnovers, but they're also first in fast break points, having Cade leading transition where he's been fantastic, with Duren running and Ausar running the wings. It makes them an absolute nightmare. An absolute nightmare to deal with in transition, in fast break. And the crazy thing is, Ausar Thompson is deadly as a runner in transition, in fast break, as a finisher, and as a playmaker. We've seen him constantly generating open shots and good offense for the Pistons when he leads a fast break. He touches the paint and kicks it out. Whether it's him kicking out for a 3 or him finishing at the rim, he's been fantastic. He's been so much more aggressive as a scorer offensively as well. All of this is contributing to the Pistons completely turning their season around. Entering January, they were 13-18 after a 5-5 December where they had the 3rd worst defense in the league. Since then, they are now, after this game, 21-9, and they have a 27 or they have a top 7 offense and defense since Ausar was put into the starting lineup. Those are not coincidences. That is not by chance. The impact that he has had on this team is met by nobody else but Cade Cunningham. There's no one else that's had more of an impact on this team than Ausar Thompson has this year. He has changed the Detroit Pistons season. Jaden Ivey went down. Terrible. Absolute terrible injury. And when it happened, it felt like, to a lot of people, the season was just ripped from the Pistons. How are they going to be able to do this without Ivey? How are they going to be able to do this? This is yet another year screwed by injuries. Cade first, and now Ivey here. It's over. There was a lot of negativity, and understandable. There was a lot of, how are they going to rebound from this? I'll tell you how they did. They inserted Ausar Thompson into the starting lineup, and he's changed their season. That doesn't mean the Pistons are better without Ivey before the Ivey stands lose their minds. You can just play Ivey instead of THJ. It'll be even better, okay? That's just for the Ivey stands that want to try to twist my words and say, now I'm going at Ivey. The point is that if there was ever a silver lining to come out of such a bad situation, such a bad way to open the new year, this was it. This was it right here. To wrap this up, I want to say this. In the last 18 games, Ausar Thompson is averaging 11.7 points, 4.9 rebounds, 3.1 assists to just 1.3 turnovers, 2.4 steals too. I'm almost out of breath reading all of this. While shooting 62% from the field. To add on to this will be the last number for you guys to take away here. The starting lineup of Cunningham, Thompson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, and Duren before this game played 358 minutes together. They are outscoring opponents by 9.03 points per 100 possessions. They are obliterating teams in their minutes. They are demolishing teams. Their defensive ratings 110.2. Their offensive ratings 119.2. They are obliterating teams on both ends of the floor with this lineup. It's not a coincidence. JD has taken a large jump, but Ausar Thompson's changed their season. And this is, I can't remember the last time the Pistons have had multiple young guys come through and develop like they have this year. Cage developed. Ivy looked like he was developing before he went down. JD has developed recently over the last 2 months, and Ausar Thompson has completely changed their season for the better. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter @Khahil how you guys feel about Ausar Thompson's impact this year and how good he's been for them. Again, comment section down below or over on Twitter @Khahil. When we come back, we're going to look ahead at the Detroit Pistons schedule and how soon could they leapfrog the Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Running a small business means you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone. Before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where OpenPhone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help keep your work and personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OpenPhone, OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge at OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free to available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel @Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Also, I'll link down below, like I've said before, the playback room and also the Substack to get all this new content and recurring content from me for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy all of it. It's been a lot of fun with all of you guys, especially in the playback room. All right, so the Pistons are currently sitting at 35-27. And as I'm recording this, at the end of this podcast, it's now 12:56 a.m. Yeah, I'd be up late for you guys. You feel me? I'd be grinding. You feel me? But as I'm recording this, the Pistons are only a half game out of 4th. Milwaukee and Indiana both have the exact same record at 34-25. The Pistons have more wins, but more losses because they've played more than both of these teams. So they're only a half game behind Indiana and Milwaukee. Looking ahead at the Detroit Pistons schedule, could this be the week they leapfrog them? Well, if they did it this week, it would be pretty damn impressive because they are on a long road trip. They just beat Utah in Utah. They are now going, it says tomorrow. Is that counting because it's past midnight? I think it's on Wednesday when they play. Let me confirm this. Yeah, Wednesday. So they play Wednesday at Los Angeles, Then they play Saturday in Golden State. Then they play Sunday on a back end of a back-to-back at Portland. Then they fly all the way back home to play the Wizards on a back-to-back, which is going to be big for them. I think that's 2 easy wins right there for them. But beating the Clippers will be no easy task. After watching how the Clippers played at Detroit, without Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell, by the way, they're a really good defensive team. And you saw that was a defensive battle. The Pistons pulled it out. It was a great game from the Pistons. But in no way are the Clippers an easy team. That is a quality opponent. And this time they'll probably have Kawhi. And they might have Norman Powell. So they'll be at full strength. If they can beat the Clippers, that would be a huge statement win. That would be a quality win. Then they got Golden State right after that. Golden State's playing a lot better. Steph Curry, since the deadline, since the All-Star break, he's looking like Steph Curry. Jimmy Butler, he's not putting up crazy numbers, but his impact on that team has been tremendous. The Warriors look way, way better. They're a much better defensive team, and Steph Curry has been going off for them offensively. He's looking just like Chef Curry again. If you can beat them in Golden State, that would be huge. That would be a really good quality win. Then you wrap it up with Portland, who, I'll say this about Portland. Credit to Chauncey Billups. He has them playing some really damn good basketball right now. I don't want people to get confused. Don't look at their record on the year and think, oh, that's an easy win. The Portland Trailblazers, since the change of the new year, are playing incredible basketball. They're playing really well. They're playing really well. In the last 10 games, they're 5-5. They were just done with they were just on a pretty long winning streak. They're 16-14 at home. Shaedon Sharpe is starting to play really well. Like, Chauncey Billups has them playing really well at this point in the season. To the point where on Locked On NBA the other night that I hosted, Locked On NBA Game Night, I asked the question, what's the percentage chance Portland can catch the Mavericks at 10th seed? They're only 4 games back. Like, they're playing really well right now. So while you would say, yes, the Pistons should win that game because the Pistons are a better team, it's not like they're just a slouch. It's not like they're just a trash team. So this is a really quality road trip for the Pistons. And for me, looking at this road trip, I would say that if you can go 2-2, you feel good. If you can just go 2-2, I would say the most likely outcome you'd like to go on is beat Utah, obviously, and then beat Portland. If you lose to the Clippers and the Warriors, so be it. It's a long losing streak. You have a back-to-back at the end of this. If you're able to just go 2-2, that would be great. You split it, and then you can go home and play the Wizards back-to-back. You can get up 2 games on that. That would be big. I think that would be fantastic. If they can go 3-1, you won the road trip. Going 2-2 means I would say you just passed. You had a passing grade. You survived it. It was a long road trip. You get it done. You go home. You handle your business. You go 3-1 on this road trip. You pass with flying colors. You crush this road trip, and you're really making up some ground here. You're really playing well. You're really trying to cement yourself as something here. Can they do it? They certainly can. I told you guys after they beat Boston. Before the Boston episode of the game, I sat on here and said, look, if they lose to Boston, don't say the season's a fluke. Don't rule out. Don't hate on them now. Because I expected them to lose to Boston. They're defending champions, hell. Like, my goodness. But they beat Boston by 20. After that, I'm not saying this team can't do anything ever again. Not saying I'm predicting them to win a championship or anything, but I'm not going to sit here and say they can't do anything again. Because every time I say they can't do something, they then go out and shock the whole world. So if they can go 3-1, hell, I guess 4-0 is even on the way. But if they can be realistic, if we can be realistic and say they go 3-1, that would be crushing it. But just 2-2, I think would be good because of what the schedule is after that. You got the Wizards back-to-back. Thunder's going to be a hard one. But then you got the Pelicans, Heat, Mavericks, Pelicans again. Spurs. That's a really good schedule after that. And a lot of those games are at home. So just survive the road trip for me. That would be good enough. Survive it. Go 2-2 at least. Come home, handle business, and you're in great position to catch Milwaukee and Indiana. So let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil how you guys feel about the Pistons' future schedule. Do you guys think the Pistons have to go 2-2 on this road trip? What do you guys think they will go on this road trip? And do you think they will catch Indiana or Milwaukee in the standings? But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe out there. And until next time, everybody, peace out.